Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? How is everybody? Good to see you all. So I just wanted to spend the first 2 minutes just waiting for people to kind of show up to the live stream because I wasn't really sure if people would get the notification in time or whatnot. But yes, so in this live stream, we're just going to hang out and just talk about whatever comes to mind. I know the past two live streams, there was one about Disneyland, there was one about ocean liners. This one is about anything, so we can just kind of talk. I just wanted to hang out with everybody. Been doing work on videos and stuff, so uh, let's see who's in the chat. Hello, Krista. Hello, William. Hi, Jake. Hello, Skills. And hello, Hungry JTA. Hello, Blue Jay. So yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of news going on and stuff, and I thought like what would kind of be cool is if we Jake says I got the notification. Yeah. Um, I thought it would be kind of cool is if we did this live stream on the computer finally, so that way I could like show you guys stuff on Google Maps and whatever if we wanted to do that, because that's what I love the most is the live streams that do like the Google Maps and stuff, like because I could show people cool things if they really want to see stuff and stuff like that. And so yeah, unfortunately scheduling these streams until I move has been really difficult to do. I just haven't it's been so hectic, like just getting ready for moving and stuff. um let's see. Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, Railroad Street. Greetings, Alex. Really enjoying your recent videos on the Queen Mary. Keep up the excellent work. I will. There's still a lot more Queen Mary videos to come. Jake Goodwin says, oops, had caps on. It's okay. Skills says, I'm a new subscriber. Hello and welcome. All right, so yeah, so we're just here to talk about anything, really. Hopefully the stream is good quality. I mean, let me know, folks, if there is any lag throughout the stream, not just now, but throughout the stream. If there's a problem where you can't hear me, or if it skips, or if there's lag or something, let me know. Because I think one of the biggest problems I've had is that like there's so many devices connected to the router here in my sister's apartment that it just keeps kicking off my computer and my phone from the router. Even when we try to place it on high priority so that way I can do my live streams, it just doesn't work. So, but in a matter of days, I'll be moving to the new apartment. I'll have my own personal router and stuff like that. Living by myself, so everything will be fine. I just paid for some crazy fast internet. Like, yeah, so everything will be a lot better then. Let's see. Jake says, Alex, I like when you have the photos of the Queen Mary. I love to try and name what's in the photo. Yeah, I love putting up these photos of the Queen Mary. Also, Jake, you are a moderator. That's why you have a little wrench next to your name. So if there's any bad apples in the chat, you can hide their messages, or even if it's that bad, you can even ban them from the channel. So, but I don't think there's anybody that bad on here usually. Hello, everyone. So, yeah, so, I mean, let's just chat and hang out. Let's see. I will put on Google Maps for you, because I know, why is this on that screen? It's selected. There we go. All right, so, yeah, so this is Disneyland. We're looking at it from overhead. And Ivan says, tuning in from Cape Town. Love the RMS Olympic. Awesome. Wow, from Cape Town. That's so cool. Wow, you're far away. What time is it over there? I'm really curious. What time is it over there? So yeah, so again, this live stream, we can talk about anything. Doesn't have to be just Disneyland, but this is what I had on here. So I don't know, maybe I'll just talk about something fun, I guess. Let's see. So, the Main Street buildings a lot of when you if you're not in the know about Disneyland and you walk down Main Street, you might think the buildings are actually made of several different like buildings all clustered together, like any small town Main Street would be, because this is what it looks like. I gotta remember that you guys are seeing a more zoomed in version than I am, because it looks like a bunch of clustered buildings together and stuff like that. But actually, they're all clustered into four main buildings, kind of like warehouses. They were built with the roofs being 16 feet above the ground. So I don't know what that is in meters. That's like, let's see. So 5 meters, almost 6 meters above the ground. Um, Ivan says it's 1:07 a.m. here in South Africa. Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for tuning in. That's so cool. Um, let's see. Aaron says hat writer. LOL. Um, oh, I say. Oh, you worked in Town Square Disneyland as a hat writer. Oh, that's really cool. That's you. Did you work back in the times when they actually had to like learn how to write with the hats? Because that was so cool. When I was a kid, the hat writers would have to be trained to like write in like I think like two different like fonts and write people's names on the backs of the Disneyland hats. Now today it's all done with computer guided machines. The machines do it all out, and I'm like, I miss the days when it was done by hand because it felt special. You're like, wow, someone actually like wrote this out for me on my hat. Like it was really cool. Um, but yes, back to what I was saying. So the buildings on Main Street might look like they're multiple levels high. Like this one here looks like it's 3 levels high, but in actuality, it's built in a miniature scale. So let me tell you what the scales are. So at the bottom level is 9/10 of real size. That means that if a ground level building has a 10-foot ceiling, then in Disneyland that would be scaled down to 9 feet. So it would be smaller than usual. And then the second level is 5/8 scale. So 5/8 of real size. That's a little over 3/4 of full size. And then the top floor, the third floor on all of Main Street, is half scale. So it gets smaller as you go up. It's a form of what's the term again? I don't remember the term. It's not coming to my brain right now. Forced perspective. There we go. Right when I don't even want to think about it, it comes up. Forced perspective. But that being said, some people would think that there are upper floors in Main Street, that there are like a second level where they store things. Not at Disneyland. At Disneyland, the shops on Main Street don't necessarily have a second level. Actually, that's what everything above the ceiling is just ventilation space and stuff like that. And some of it's not even there's not even that much space for ventilation, to be honest, because as you can see, the ventilation ducts are on the outside of the building. So they've actually raised the ceilings inside the buildings as high as they can in some areas just to kind of gain some nice big rooms. But there is some areas on Main Street that do have a second level. So, I mean, technically, so this, you might see that this building here, I'm going to try to center it for you guys. So this building here, you can obviously see it has a higher roof than the rest of the building. So this building is 1955. This building is 1970s. I don't remember exactly when. A friend did ask me when they installed this building, and I don't know the exact year. But it was in the 1970s they installed this building back here. And the bottom floor, part of it is part of the Emporium, but the rest of it, plus the second floor, is storage and sorting spaces for the merchandise on Main Street. So this is probably one of the few areas that has a second floor. Walt Disney's private apartment, which is this one right here, is located on the second floor of the firehouse. And then City Hall actually has 3 floors, believe it or not. This is the only place I'll say at least for now, in Main Street that has a third level. So the bottom floor is City Hall. The second floor is management for for the guest relations department, and the third floor is like basically an attic where they keep a bunch of like the operating equipment, like the sound, the digital sound systems that operate on Main Street. All that kind of stuff is stored on the third floor of City Hall on Main Street. So City Hall is literally the only building on Main Street that has a third level. And then the Opera House, most of it is technically just one level because it's a big theater. But there is a second level. Let me try to rotate it this way. So everything from this line forward has a second level. Because they have like offices up there, and currently that is where the PDX room is for or PBX. I'm sorry, I'm thinking PDX because of Portland International Airport. PBX room, and yeah, and so that's where they. So if you call Disneyland today, like you do I still remember the phone number? 1-800. 7 4 no is it 1-800-781-0000? Yeah, and that gets you to the Disneyland operator, and you can request to be, you can request to speak to like Disneyland Hotel or guest relations or whatever. Anyway, the Disneyland operators, they operate off the second level of up here. Really nice people. Generally they're like cast member veterans that work up there. So let's see here. Who's in the chat? Sue says, new subscriber, thank you for updates on the Queen Mary reopening status. You're welcome. Jake says, Alex, could you show everyone the Sky Tower in Auckland, New Zealand? And it's the tallest freestanding building in the southern hemisphere. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Auckland, New Zealand. The Sky Tower, is it called? Yeah. I've never seen it. Let me do this. Ugh, all these labels are getting in the way. I'm going to turn off the labels. All right. So there it is, the Sky Tower. The tallest, what was it again? The tallest freestanding building in the southern hemisphere. Oh, pretty cool. Nice. But back to Disneyland. All right. All right, so let's see. Aaron says, I worked the newsstand kiosk for New Year's Eve. We watched the fireworks and went back to cranking the registers. That's pretty funny. Yeah. Skills says, what are the rails in for Main Street? Or what are they for? The rails are for the Main Street streetcars. So they are horse-drawn streetcars that deliver you. They take you from the main entrance of the park up Main Street to the castle. They stop right about here. So yeah, they're pretty cool. Whenever I went to Disneyland, I always loved to ride the Main Street streetcars. Really fun, especially seeing the horses and stuff. I'm trying to center that for you. Let's see here. Oh, Mike just got called into work. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Hello, Nathan. What's up? Um, Skills says, I watched all of the Disneyland Railroad videos and Queen Mary World War II videos. Nice. Jake says, Alex, the dinner for Thursday, April 1st, 1948, on board the Queen Mary was quarter lamb and gravy. Nice. I do kind of miss having lamb. It's been a long time. What I want to do when I get my new apartment, actually, is I want to try to recreate some of the food on Titanic and Queen Mary, um, just to like show people like what it is. Like, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually a culinary school trained chef. I did own a business for a long time, had my own kitchens. I had two different kitchens of my own at one point. Um, and yeah, so I once had a very big interest in making food. I no longer have quite the same interest anymore, but I am curious to see if I can recreate what they made on Titanic and Queen Mary and see if it's still good. I mean, if you've watched the movie Titanic, the characters ate lamb with mint sauce. That's still actually a very popular dish, but it's made probably differently today than it was made back then. Um, and lots of other foods and stuff that they made differently back then that I'd like to try and see what it's like and show it off to people and stuff. So, um, Pony Horton says, Hey Alex, love your videos. I am a historian regarding the St. Francis Dam. Have you ever studied the St. Francis Dam? Or St. Francis disaster? I don't think so. I don't think I've heard of that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've heard of it. Aaron says, any favorite dishes from the in-between backstage? Um, so for those of you guys that don't know, this is the backside of the Plaza Inn restaurant at Disneyland. The backside of the Plaza Inn has a Cassimber, kind of like a cafeteria essentially, and it's called the In Between because it's a play on the words Plaza Inn, and it's in between Main Street and Tomorrowland. So it's. Was there any food that I liked there? There was actually. There was one thing I actually liked to eat here. Every once in a while, not often, but every once in a while, every couple of months or so, they'd have a day where they made chicken pot pies. Oh my gosh, those were so good. I don't know if it was because they were so good or if it was because the rest of the food was always terrible. So it's like, I don't know, but whenever they had chicken pot pies, I was there on my lunch. It didn't matter if I was working all the way in Critter Country, I would walk to the in between to get a chicken pot pie. That was so good. So good. I don't think they do it anymore. It's just one of those things where it's like they don't like making food from scratch for the Cassimbers. They have like one of those like what do they call those? The griddle tables, so they can like make you like an egg burrito or whatever, but it's not the same. Like actually like making a sauce and putting together a chicken pot pie. Like, I don't think they do that stuff for Cassimbers anymore. So sad. Let's see. Draco says Queen Mary reminds me of the Carpathia and Lusitania. Well, it should, because the Queen Mary, well, all Cunard ships took inspiration from previous Cunard ships. So even the current Queen Mary 2 ship, their only remaining ocean liner in service, is designed to feel like other Cunard ships, like the RMS Queen Mary, the RMS Queen Elizabeth. Part of it is kind of QE2 looking. Like if you look at the bridge of the Queen Mary 2, it looks like the bridge of the QE2 sort of. That kind of thing. It just takes a bunch of inspiration from other Cunard ships. So the Queen Mary, yeah, I can believe it feeling a lot like the Carpathia or the Lusitania. Jake says, Alex, there was another YouTuber who made the last dinner for Titanic. Her channel's called Rachel Pence. If you have heard of Historic Travels, that is his sister. Oh, that's his sister, really? Oh, that's really cool. Because I did see her video, and that's where I kind of got the idea. I was like, I wonder if I can create stuff for Queen Mary and stuff. That's where I got the idea. That's actually really cool. Yeah, Historic Travels has a great channel, too. I watch his stuff. But yeah, that video where Rachel created that was really cool. Aaron says you could buy an inscribed cake at the bakery department back in the day, according to the old timer cast members. Yeah, you could. That was way back in the day, but yeah, I mean, the guests can buy one, but cast members can't buy it. Not unless you're spending the time as a guest at Disneyland. But yeah, you can. I mean, a lot of people don't know this. For any of you Disney fans who are watching, you can actually. Just gonna move the point of view so you guys have something else to look at while I talk. But let's see. Won't load. There we go. But yeah, so if you're going to Disneyland and let's say you've got, okay, let's say you're spending your birthday at the Blue Bayou, right? You actually can request from the Disneyland Bakery department to specially make you a birthday cake that has like your name and everything on it, and they can deliver it to the Blue Bayou. So when you have your dinner, they can cut it up for you, and they'll present you the cake first, so you can like blow out your candles or whatever you want to do with the cake, and then you can send it back into the kitchen and they'll cut it up for you. So that was something I used to do when I worked at Blue Bayou. I went to school for all sorts of culinary stuff, but I did go specifically to do baking and pastry because I wanted to work with breads. But in that process, you learn how pastries are very delicate. So you learn to have a very delicate hand with things like cake. So when I worked at Blue Bayou, the chefs would always ask me to do the cake cuttings because everyone else murders the cake when they cut it up for the guests. Like, they don't know how to cut cake. Like, especially if the cake has a really delicate frosting, and if you try to cut it with a knife, it just breaks the cake apart and the frosting gets everywhere and it looks like a mess. So I was the only person that knew, like, heat the knife up with a torch, and and cut through the cake. So yeah, so that was pretty cool. I did a lot of cool stuff at Blue Bayou when it came to pastries and stuff. When people would propose to each other, I would be the one that would write in the dessert plate with chocolate, "Will you marry me?" Or, or if it's Valentine's Day, "I love you," or something, or "Happy Anniversary," and that kind of stuff. So I wrote with chocolate, wrote with raspberry, put together. I took the desserts that we had and made them into special looking desserts specifically for special occasions and stuff like that. Disney does a lot of customization of stuff like that for people who really, really enjoy, the park and just want to do something really special. So I don't know if what I'm trying to say, but yeah. Let's see. Pony Horton says, I've been producing a video on it for years. It was California's largest man-made disaster. Happened in 1928 in... Is it pronounced Saugus? Saugus? Interesting. I've heard of some sort of man-made disasters. I think I heard of one in Jamestown, but I haven't heard of that one. Draco says, I heard there was supposed to be a ship called the SS Rex, but I don't know what happened to it. There was a ship called SS Rex. It was it was owned by the Italian line. It was a successful ship from what I understand. And at one point it had the blue ribbon, I believe, but that was taken away. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it was. Eventually the Queen Mary had the blue ribbon, but yeah, there was an SS Rex. And I actually, the other day, I was looking for a label for the Queen Mary, because I have a lot of artifacts of Queen Mary, as you know. Eventually, I want to, like, paint a painting or something and label the painting, Queen Mary. So I kind of bought this, this little nameplate. Hold on, let me see if it... Hold on, I gotta move this way. And it says RMS Queen Mary on it in case you can or can't see it. But what's really cool is the person who sent it to me after I purchased it, they also happened to send me an extra one that says, let's see, Rex, Italian line. So this is a nameplate for the SS Rex, which I thought was really cool. I did not expect that. I didn't purchase that one, so I was really happy to see that. So, let's see. Jacobin says, Alex, I went to this place called... I cannot pronounce that. The longest town name in the world. Oh, if that's what I think it is, then I've heard of it. And there's like a big challenge to see if people could like pronounce it. Yeah, I know that one. I've seen a video on it. Pony Horton says, I have a 60th anniversary menu from Blue Bayou. That's pretty cool. I think I have one somewhere too, actually. Aaron says, Alex making magical moments. Yes, I loved to do that. I had such a love for, for trying to make magical moments at Disney. And, when I worked in so many departments at Disney, and when I was in guest relations, especially. In guest relations, they used to give the cast members certain amounts of fast passes. So if someone was having a really bad day, I mean bad, like not just like, oh, I'm sad there's a lot of long lines. I mean bad as in like you were stuck on Pirates of the Caribbean for 45 minutes and you peed yourself bad. Then if they came up to guest relations to complain, like we had ways of mitigating that. One of those things that we used to do, they don't do this anymore because things are a little bit different now, because they don't have Fast Pass anymore. They have something else. But when we had Fast Pass, they would give us like a bunch of Fast Passes that we could specifically, not like the Fast Passes you would get from the kiosks. It was more like, oh yeah, sometimes they did give us Fast Passes from the kiosks. Yeah, because I remember this one time, the thing I was talking about was called Riads, by the way. They think they still have those, but anyway, so the fast passes from the kiosks, if we had extra ones for some reason, we would normally just throw them away. But what I used to do was right at the end of my shift, I'd be walking out of the park. I'd be like walking, let's say I was, for some reason somewhere in like Fantasyland or whatever, and I was walking down through the park. I might walk down Main Street and I would specifically look for a family that I thought, could really use the fast passes because they were still valid, So I'd walk up to them, I'd be like, hello, and I'd introduce myself, and I would say that something along the lines of like, I selected you, for your family to use these fast passes to get on a ride. And so, yeah, I would just do something nice like that. So that was allowed, by the way, in case anyone's wondering, like I did something wrong. No, I was allowed to do that. What's not allowed is giving people Riads just willy-nilly. It's not allowed. But if we had extra fast passes, then we could do that because they were extra. They would have just been thrown away anyway. So, little fun fact for you. Draco says, have you heard of Edmund Fitzgerald? Yes, I have. Hello, Sarah Palms. Skills says, SS Rex sank during World War II from a bombing from the Royal Air Force. Oh, yes, because the Italians were actually part of the Axis forces. So that makes sense. We would have bombed the SS Rex. Pony Horton says, Alex, did you know Ken Marshall has some of the deck hardware, capstans, etc., from Queen Mary's stern deck in his backyard? He got them when Disney did some dismantling of those parts of the ship. I didn't know he had that, but that is pretty cool, and it makes sense too. Disney did some horrible things to the Queen Mary. Honestly, they did some horrible things. They are not a company that likes to preserve things usually. They'll preserve their own park in some ways, but what they did to the Queen Mary was just shameful. Just shameful. Draco says, why would they dismantle them? They dismantled them because they were trying to create See, the stern of the Queen Mary had all these like mooring lines and capstan gears. It was a very much an industrial area to help moor the ship to a dock. And what Disney wanted to do is they wanted to create like a space for people to party or dance or whatever on the stern of the Queen Mary, kind of like have their own little, their little area. And they were like, oh, all this machinery's in the way, let's get rid of it. And they just ripped it all out. And yeah. Jake says, Alex, sorry, but you're laggy. But I can live with it. Yeah, I'm so sorry, people. I don't know why my internet is doing this. It's like I said, this house, there is so many devices connected to the same router all at once. It's like I have to disconnect a bunch of devices myself just so my computer will stay connected to the router. But yeah, I swear, when I get the new apartment, the live streams will be beautiful. I've already signed up for really fast, high-speed internet. It'll all be connected to my computer with an Ethernet cable, not just Wi-Fi. So it'll be great. You only have to wait 2 more weeks. So sorry about that, folks. Let's see. Jake says, Alex, little history quiz. What country gave America the Statue of Liberty? France. France did. Let's see if I remember who designed it. I don't remember who designed it. I feel like I know the person who designed it. I just don't remember it right off the top of my head. All right. Hello, Matthew. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I know the lag is just terrible. Pony Horton says, can you tell us how the term poop deck came about? At this point in time, I can't tell you. I don't know. I know the poop deck is often where, like if animals were being, like if pets, like dogs and stuff were being, taken across the ocean, a lot of times, like on Titanic, they would actually take the animals to the poop deck to relieve themselves. I don't know if has anything to do with it. I don't think so, but I couldn't tell you at this point. I'm still learning about ships. Let's see. Hello, Scan Fan Ed. Greetings, Alex. Hope you are. Appreciate your content very much. Okay, thank you. Draco says, I would love to see the Queen Mary go on like a test cruise. The original? Oh, she can't do that. Yeah, I'm eventually going to be making a video for you guys talking about like why the Queen Mary can never sail again. But essentially, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Believe me, there's a lot of reasons. But one of the biggest reasons is, first of all, she is under contract to never sail again. She was the Cunard line. The only reason why they sold her to Long Beach was under the agreement that she never sail again, because Cunard does not want their former flagship sailing on a business that competes with their own. And that makes sense, I mean, it's like, would Walt Disney want someone else to have control of Mickey Mouse and do whatever they want with him? That was his, that was his child, and so it's the same thing. Like Cunard, Queen Mary was their flagship. They don't want some other company, they don't want some other company using the ship to compete with them in any way. So that's one of the reasons. But the other thing too is that a lot of people don't understand that there are things that are kind of like, when they're kept in service, they can keep going and going. So like the cable cars of San Francisco, for instance, they've never officially, like the entire line has never officially been decommissioned. They've cut off certain lines, they've taken things out, but it's never been officially decommissioned. And because of that, they don't they don't always have to abide by certain rules, you know, like, well, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into the rules, but there are certain codes that the that these vehicles don't need to abide by simply because they are old, right? But the minute you take something out of commission, the minute it is officially no longer used for that purpose, even if it's only for, a month or whatever, if it's officially decommissioned and you want to try to get it back into commission, you want to get it back into doing what it used to do, it has to then abide by the new rules, because now you're trying to take something that was never built for something and trying to do it. What am I trying to say? Now you're trying to take something that is basically a screaming metal death trap and turn it into something that is safe again. And that's the problem. So the Queen Mary cannot sail again for the sake of preservation, because in order to actually make her sail again, almost everything on the ship would have to be changed. I mean everything, down to every last nut and bolt of the ship is pretty much going to have to be reevaluated. I'm not even kidding. Ships today cannot be made of wood. The Queen Mary is full of lumber and wood. She was made with all this fantastic, beautiful wood. And if you tear that out, you're getting rid of history. Those are rare pieces of wood, like you don't have that anymore, and the other thing too is, like, the ship was designed with shear, which is a curvature in the decks designed to give the ship strength when cresting steep ocean waves and stuff like that. Ships today don't need shear. If anything, they cause more of a safety hazard for people walking on ships. They would need to correct that if the ship was to come back into commission, into working order. Even if that didn't matter, there is still the issue that the ship, while it is fine where it is, it's not strong enough to withstand the rigors of ocean weather anymore. It's fine where it is because it's in this protective, what do they call this? There's a protective breakwater around the ship that prevents any, like, big waves or anything from hitting the ship. It makes the water very calm, so the ship is fine where it is. It's perfectly safe. The problem is when you take it out into the open ocean again. It's just not. It won't work very well. You might even break some of the structural frame of the ship just because it's that old. Like, some of the ship is almost 92 years old at this point. So yeah, it's just, you don't want to put something this old through that kind of rigor. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of reasons, and I'll eventually make a video about why the ship can never sail again. It's just not a good idea. Not for the Queen Mary. Let's see. Necrofilm says la poupe, French word for stern. Okay, so that's where the poop deck comes from. La poupe. That sounds fun to say. Thank you so much for explaining that, actually, because I really didn't know, to be honest. And I'm not afraid to admit that. There's some YouTubers out there who do not like to admit when they're wrong. I am one of those people who will. If I don't know something, I'll just be like, you know what? I don't know it. Pony Horton says, based on your recent Queen Mary video, are her lifeboats reproductions? No, none of the lifeboats on the Queen Mary are reproductions. As far as I know, there are some original lifeboats on the ship from 1936. The others that are not original Queen Mary 1936 lifeboats are from various other Cunard ships, such as the Sylvania. The rest, I don't know. Maybe some are from the Mauritania too. I don't know. But they are all authentic lifeboats of a ship. So none of them are reproduction. Some people think they are because they're confusing two different facts. One fact is that when you look at some of the lifeboats, they're completely gutted. There's nothing inside. It's just a big empty bowl, essentially. And we all know lifeboats, they have things in them. They have benches. They have whatever, they have machinery. So when they see these big, bowls just sitting up there on the deck, they think it's a reproduction, so they just never built the inside. But that's not true. That's just they were gutted a long time ago. The other fact they're confusing it with is that in the 1990s, Disney was removing one of the lifeboats for restoration. Um, they were going to build a replica, just one, so that way they could use it for their lifeboat drill. Their lifeboat drill. What do you call it? Demonstration. So this davit here has a lifeboat in it. The original one, when it was brought to Long Beach, they would raise and lower it from the ship to demonstrate how the lifeboat system worked. One day it broke apart while it was moving, because the lifeboat was just so badly corroded. It broke apart, fell into the water. So Disney took one from the other side. They pulled one from the other side and moved it over here. That wasn't doing too well either, so they thought, before this one breaks apart, we're going to make a fiberglass replica that we can just use for the demonstrations instead. So they took the one that was sitting here, and then they moved it somewhere else to make a replica out of it, and then they lost it. They literally lost it. They don't know where it is. They never ended up building that fiberglass replica. So people confuse the two different facts and think that the ship has replicas on it. They don't have any fiberglass replicas. So they are all original lifeboats to a Cunard ship, of some kind. So, yeah. All right, let me see who else is in the chat. Baron Gaffner says, "Hey Alex, how would you feel about them using the area of Frontierland?" Oh, where did your comment go? There you go. Area of Frontierland across from Big Thunder, the trees, Native American scene, for a ride. I want a Cocoa Dark ride there. I don't mind if they use it for an outdoor ride, but I don't think there is literally room to build a dark ride there. It would have to be a very, very tiny dark ride. Like, we're talking like something along the lines of like Pinocchio in Fantasyland, like Pinocchio, but even smaller. But even then, even if they did, I don't want them to chop down all those beautiful trees and stuff. Like, there is a beauty to the area. It is nice to walk through Frontierland and see the frontier, like, I don't want to walk through Frontierland and see nothing but buildings. Like, Disneyland is already losing a lot of its nature. They destroyed, there was this big area of the Rivers of America before Galaxy's Edge. When you would ride the riverboat, you would go way out into the wilderness, and it felt like you were in the wilderness, especially at night, because there was no city lights or anything that you could see. It was so dark back there. You felt like you were out in the forest. They got rid of that, and when they built Galaxy's Edge and they built a whole new river area, the river area looks nice to a certain degree, but it doesn't have that same feeling anymore. You don't feel like you're out in the wilderness, So Disneyland is losing a lot of its nature, and we need to keep whatever is left, So that area across Big Thunder needs to stay, in my opinion. There's a nice, beautiful pond there. There's big, beautiful trees. It needs to stay. So, Tuna1989 says, "Wow, I haven't seen you in forever. I loved your Disney videos. So interesting. Hope you are well. Love from UK." Thank you so much. Well, I've been here. Haley says, "Would you like to see a West Coast version of Animal Kingdom?" Yes, I would. It would be really great if they could, like, build it in place of California Adventure. Let me try to move this. Wait, no, that's north. I can find my way to Disneyland without using the thing. So, yeah. There's California Adventure. I don't like California Adventure. Most people know that about me. Cars Land is cool. I do like Cars Land. The Grizzly Peak area is pretty, although there's nothing for me to do there. I don't personally like it because there's nothing to do for me. Cars Land is the only part of the park I actually like. Besides, well, I do like Buena Vista Street, but you know, it's not like it would, it'd be terrible if they, if it was gone. But anyway, I think the whole park, I would love to see the whole park replaced with a miniature version of Animal Kingdom. Now, I know they can't build anything like the one in Florida because the one in Florida is 500 acres in size. To put that in perspective, this big rectangle the resort sits in is approximately 510 acres in size. And, but, geez. Sorry, I think I lagged for a moment there. OBS just told me I was disconnected for a moment. Let me go ahead and restate what I was just stating. So the entire Disneyland Resort sits in approximately 500 acres of size, which happens to be the same size of Animal Kingdom at Walt Disney World. That is also 500 acres. And so, as you can tell, the space of California Adventure doesn't have enough space for all of that. So what I do think would be cool is a miniature version of Animal Kingdom where smaller animals are shown off and you can, see them. Things like, maybe really small monkeys, birds, exotic birds, reptiles, like exotic animals like capybaras and stuff like that, And then most of the park would be like a walk around place where there's rides and areas like, like some of the things I love about Animal Kingdom is like their recreations of certain countries, like towns in Africa and India, and stuff like that. So it would be really great if they could recreate some of that here and have some areas where there's like small animals on exhibit. So it would be like a miniature version of Animal Kingdom. I would love that here instead of California Adventure, to be honest. And heck, if they want, they can put in a huge thrill ride, something along the lines of Everest, except better, So, yeah, that'd be cool. That's what I'd like to see. All right. Mike Manchi says, do you... Oh, wait. I recall there is an abandoned recreation of a town in London across the street from Queen Mary that people used to go to. Then they walk the viewing platform, which take you to the Queen Mary. So yeah, the viewing platform is gone, but yes, they did have an area called London Town. So this is the Queen Mary here. It's always better to get a view like this. So here's the Queen Mary, and here is London Town. London Town used to be 3 times bigger than it is today. It took up this whole area here. And then, like he was saying, there was an observation platform. So you went from this platform here, and it took you into London Town, and you could, like, climb down and walk around London Town. Problem with London Town is it's very kitschy. People today don't find it cute. Like, it was very much a 1970s thing to have these little miniature fake villages everywhere. So, and then, of course, the place fell into disrepair, and they bulldozed it one by one because the buildings were getting hard to take care of. And even today, the last remaining buildings of London Town, which are these ones here, they are in such bad shape, they are not salvageable. I'm not even kidding. They are all condemned. They are that bad. So the city wants them removed. The last leaseholders of the Queen Mary Urban Commons were asked by the city to bulldoze the remaining London Town because it is a safety hazard and a fire hazard. And they had never gotten around to it. So, yeah, London Town needs to be destroyed. And what is going on in the future is that the Port of Long Beach, they want to expand this cruise terminal. This is the Carnival Cruise Terminal, and they want to expand it. Currently, it can only fit one cruise ship at a time. They want to expand it so it can at least fit 2, if not 4, cruise ships at once. So that would actually double or even quadruple the amount of money that gets generated for the Queen Mary, because the Queen Mary earns money from the port fees that are charged from the every time someone purchases a ticket on a Carnival cruise ship from this terminal, part of what they pay is a fee that goes towards the Queen Mary's expenses. So they earn about 2.4 to 2.5 million dollars a year from just one ship being here throughout the year or whatever. Or just a one ship terminal is what I mean to say. If they can double that to 5 million, that would pay for the Queen Mary's yearly annual expenses. The annual expenses of the Queen Mary's maintenance is $5 million a year. So if they double that, it will pay off Queen Mary's annual expenses. And the only expenses you have to pay after that is stuff like labor and supplies and normal business expenses. So, and then what the port of Long Beach also wants to do is they're thinking about expanding this whole cruise terminal, not just for the ships, but they want to build a large indoor entertainment place, like under one roof, a big entertainment complex, like what's happening in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and a bunch of other port cities and stuff like that. Because it's around the world, they're building these large entertainment complexes for cruise terminals. So it's like this whole new concept, essentially. They want to build that next to the Queen Mary. I'm neither yay or nay on it, to be honest. There are positives and negatives of it, but yeah. So as long as the Queen Mary is not destroyed any further, then I'm okay with it. Let's see. Where is the... Let's see. Just stick with mini Animal Kingdom or Westcott, where the Toy Story lot is. You know, yeah, I know a lot of people want Westcott. I personally don't want Westcott. I think Epcot looks like a big concrete jungle. I don't like all the concrete. California Adventure already has enough concrete, you know, like I just don't like it. I like nature. I like to see more trees and stuff. And that's why I moved up to Portland, you know, because I got tired of all the concrete in Southern California. I was just like, this place is terrible. So, yeah, but yeah, that's just my opinion, I guess. I think someone's asking about the submarine. Let's see. Did someone ask about the submarine? Oh, yes. Necrofilm says, I'm unfamiliar with the submarine park next to the Queen Mary. Info on it. So, I know someone says someone said this was a Foxtrot sub. It's not a Foxtrot. The one thing I know about it is it's a Scorpion. So that's like the one fun fact I know about it. But it was a Scorpion submarine, retired in 1994. It was personally owned by a collector who was able to bring it to Long Beach. They set it here as a tourist attraction. Long Beach thought it was a good idea at the time. But ever since, the maintenance has just failed on it. As far as I know, there has been no maintenance on it since it was put here. And so it is in danger of sinking. Yeah, it's not necessarily going to sink and tumble underneath the bow of the Queen Mary. But you never really know. That's if all the mooring lines hold on, because a lot of people don't know is that the water underneath the Queen Mary and the submarine is not flat. It's actually angled because they cut deep into this area, like a V shape or a U shape, if you will, to allow the Queen Mary to fit here, because the rest of the harbor is actually very, very shallow, maybe not even 20 feet deep. That's how shallow it is. But the Queen Mary needs to sit in 34, 38 feet of water. Um, so they actually like carved this big U shape under here. So if the submarine sinks and if its mooring lines snap from all the weight of the water in the submarine, it could tumble down into the center of the U shape. And the Queen Mary during low tide could come down on it. A lot of people think the Queen Mary is already sitting on the bottom or it's sitting on concrete stilts or whatever. None of that's true. The Queen Mary is floating. She rises and falls with the tide. I have proof of it. If you go watch my Queen Mary virtual narrated tour in 4K video, you can see that at the beginning of the day when I go to the Queen Mary, all of the gangways that lead up to the ship are like angled upwards from the high tide, and then at the end of the day when we leave, they're angled downwards from the low tide. So you can actually tell that the ship is rising and falling. So there was a concern that if the mooring lines on the submarine snap, it could tumble underneath the Queen Mary. Since they came up with that concern, they have stated that they don't believe the mooring lines will snap, so they don't believe it will be in danger of tumbling underneath the Queen Mary. But I mean, come on, Murphy's Law, anything can and all will happen. So I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, it's just checking a timer because I have to end the live stream soon. Let's see. So yeah, the Russian submarine. What will happen to it? I should have mentioned it in my last update. I'm so sorry I never did. But there is currently no plans for it. They want it to be gone, but the problem is that the previous owner, the submarine sat here for so long. The previous owner just got really old, and as far as I know, they are in a nursing home. They do not have the ability to manage the submarine at all. They are in a nursing home. They are just not, So the organization that was controlling it on their behalf, they are also defunct essentially, and so they claim that the submarine's care is now belonging to Urban Commons, since they were the last leaseholders of the Queen Mary and the leaseholders of the land around the Queen Mary. So they claim that, we left the submarine unofficially in charge with them, so they should be the next people to take care of it, because essentially there are no owners of the submarine. Well, you might think that's a plus, but that's actually a big minus, because if a city wants to get rid of something like this, they need someone to take charge and say that's mine, and so that way they can say, you pay for it, you get rid of it. There's no one to point fingers at, essentially. There's no one to take responsibility for it. So the removal of the submarine will have to come out of taxpayer pockets. But what's even worse is, even with that, they can't remove the submarine, because if anyone is currently the private holder of the submarine, if it passes on to anyone and it belongs to them for some weird reason and it's destroyed by the city, they could later sue the city and be like, you didn't ask me because I am secretly the actual owner of the submarine now. So it becomes a big legal issue. Will they resolve the issue? Yes, eventually. They'll figure out what to do with it and how to legally go about getting rid of it, because it's worn to tissue paper, essentially. It's had no maintenance since it was put there, and is completely, like, the outer hull is just, in some areas, non-existent. So it is very much condemned. It cannot be saved, essentially. And there's no valuable artifacts on it. They took them all out. So, it needs to be gotten rid of. Eventually they will, but that's way in the future, because right now the city is focusing on the Queen Mary, trying to get it reopened. Skills says, have you rode on the Disneyland Railroad? If so, what is your favorite locomotive? Oh, yes, I've been on the Disneyland Railroad so many times. I can't even tell you. It's my favorite ride at Disneyland. I used to visit Disneyland every single week of my life. Even before I was an annual pass holder, you know, my father worked at the park. I worked at the park at some point. I've always gone to Disneyland, and Railroad would spend hours on it. My favorite engine is the EP Ripley number 2. My favorite train that it pulls is the freight train, also known as Holiday 2 freight train. So EP Ripley with the Holiday 2 freight train. My favorite combination. Necrofilm says Disney needs to build a third structure next to Paradise Pier Hotel. Then they can build Westcott or Animal Kingdom where the Toy Story lot currently is. Oh, I see. Okay. Blithely, London Town is completely vacant. It is condemned. It cannot be used. So there's no one there. No one occupying the space. It is completely surrounded by fences. You can't get in. And again, it's condemned. Like if you walk past it, you'll see the buildings are falling apart. So, yeah. Blithely says, is parking free near Queen Mary? You can't park near Queen Mary currently because the Queen Mary is closed, so therefore the parking lots are closed to the public. When the Queen Mary is open, the parking lots do cost money. In 2020, the company that was leasing the Queen Mary back then, again, they're no longer here, but the company that was leasing the Queen Mary back then were charging $18 to park your car, which is an exorbitant price, almost on the Disneyland level. Yeah. Good news, though, is that the $18 goes towards the Queen Mary's preservation. I mean, at least it should. It never did in the past, but it should. But yeah, it does cost money to park there when the ship is open. So expect that to happen when you get there. I don't know if it's going to be 18. It might be less. I don't know, but expect a fee. They do charge for you to park, and they charge for you to get on the ship. You have to pay an admission price. The last company charged $40 for an admission price for one person. Yeah, pretty terrible prices. But if you love the ship like I do, then I personally just paid it. I was like, you know what? I want to go on. I'm going to pay it. But yeah, it should be cheaper. Skills says, oh nice, my favorite locomotive is Ernest S. Marsh. Cool. Did you know that Ernest S. Marsh was redesigned by the Disney team to appear a lot like the Montezuma locomotive from 1898, I believe. It's designed to look like the Montezuma because Walt wanted it to look like a Victorian era locomotive. Hello, Jeffrey. You've caught the live stream almost at the end. I'm pretty much ready to say goodbye because I have to do some things. Yeah. So Ryan Relatore says, do you think the Queen Mary is haunted? I mean, like I said, I know some people who have experienced stuff on the Queen Mary. I at one point think I might have seen something on the Queen Mary, but overall my personal opinion is no. I don't think the Queen Mary is haunted. I didn't feel any kind of haunting presence. Yeah, it's just but I mean, again, I don't want to knock people who have experienced stuff on it because, again, just because I haven't experienced anything and I haven't seen anything doesn't mean that it isn't. And again, some people are just like, they don't believe in ghosts at all. I have seen ghosts. The apartment I currently live in is very haunted. Very, very haunted. And when I worked at, Disneyland, there were several places in the park that were haunted. So I've seen ghosts. I do believe that ghosts in some way, shape, or form exist. I personally haven't experienced anything on the Queen Mary. I don't think it is haunted. It's a very happy ship. I don't believe that the Queen Mary is. Um, I don't think that a lot of people think the Queen Mary is like this, like doomed haunted house ghost ship, like scary, blah blah blah. You know, evil demons hiding around the corners. No, it's a very happy ship. It did so many great things in its life. Yes, people have died on it. People die on cruise ships every year. You know, it's not anything new to society. The Queen Mary is a very happy ship. Lots of amazing things have happened on it. There's a lot of wonderful, beautiful stories about the Queen Mary. I do not think of the Queen Mary as a haunted house. I don't want people to think of it as a haunted house. You know, it, it's it's a beautiful ship that deserves preservation. You know, so yeah, I don't want to encourage people to think of it as this scary haunted house place that, because I think that's destroyed its reputation. The whole idea that the Queen Mary is this big haunted hotel has destroyed its history. People now don't even care about all the stuff that it did in World War II. All they care about is going there to see if they can find ghosts. And it's just not fair. Um, so it's just like, you know, um, yeah, Pony Horton. Yeah, I know ghosts can be happy, but what I mean is that the Queen Mary has a reputation for being a scary place because that's what they've marketed it as. And it's like you see nothing but you like look all over YouTube. There's all kinds of teenagers and stuff that go there to film videos, and they walk out with big cuts on their back and whatever, which they put there themselves. Um, Stuff like that, and it's like it's just it's it's not a sad, evil ship. There is a lot of happiness and beauty there. And I want people to know that about the ship. Again, its reputation for being haunted has actually destroyed its reputation because it was famous for all the amazing stuff it did in World War II. If you saw my World War II Queen Mary videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. It did so many amazing things that no one even talks about anymore because they're so obsessed with how haunted it is. And it's just like it's not fair. It's not fair to the ship, it's not fair to history. So I don't want people to think of the Queen Mary as this big haunted hotel. They should think of it as a beautiful World Heritage site that should be saved. So that's how I think of it. Um, uh, uh, yeah, I think one of the things that people think is so creepy about it actually is just because it's just not properly lit. Like some areas are kept too dark, and other areas, the lights that they do have on the ship are all fluorescent daylight lamps, which cause the walls to look green. If you look around the ship, like you'll see that the beautiful golden wood paneling, when lit by that daylight, you know, uh, those I just said the word the daylight fluorescent lamps makes the walls look green. And in fact, when I made my Queen Mary 4K tour video, I actually had to color grade the entire thing to make it so the walls don't look green, because I didn't want people to look at it and be like, "Whoa, why are the walls green?" Like, it looked so terrible, you know? Like, let me see. I actually have a before and after somewhere. I will I'll find you a before and after picture. It's so weird all the stuff I had to do to make the ship look normal in video. Um let's see. It's not there. Is it in Oh, there we go. Virtual narrated tour. Aha, here we go. All right, are you are you guys ready to see the before and after? So I will minimize this so you can kind of see. Oh, I can't make it any smaller. Jeez, okay. So I'll move that like that. So that's the before. Notice how kind of green the walls look and stuff, right? And just how dull and dark and dreary it looks. This is what it looks like on camera. But I did a color correction to show you what it should look like if lit with the proper lights. So, sorry, I can't make them any smaller. I would if I could, but I can't make them any smaller. Yeah, so you can kind of see the difference here. Like, this is what the Queen Mary should look like when lit with incandescent bulbs the way it was designed. The walls should be golden. The light should be golden. It should be well lit because, well, for one thing, you see how there's only one light in the corner? This whole panel should be lit. This whole thing right here should have lights in it. So it should be bright. This whole like area should be bright. So I color corrected it so that way so it looks brighter. It looks warm and inviting. The walls are golden. The light glittering off the surfaces are golden the way it should be. But with the one little fluorescent light bulb in there, it makes everything look green and scary. And that's what I'm talking about. So people have this like, people look at the Queen Mary and they go, wow, it's so eerie and creepy. And it's like, I think part of the biggest reason why it looks that way is because it looks green with the fluorescent lamps. So that's why I just wanted to kind of show you guys the difference. I don't know. Does this amaze you guys? It amazes me, you know, like when I look at it, I'm like, oh, holy moly, what a big difference, you know? So yeah, that is, yeah. So when you watch my Queen Mary virtual narrated tour video, I color corrected the whole thing to make the ship look like what it should look like when properly lit. And yeah, I think it made a huge difference. No one's commenting on it. Jeez. All right. Anyway, done with that. That was my timer. All right, folks, I do have to get going. Other things to do. Close that out. But yeah, I wanted to thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm going to, again, be doing more live streams from now on, especially when I get to my new apartment. There's lots more Queen Mary information coming out in February. Lots of new stuff is going to be happening, so I'll try to keep you all up to date with that. I am currently working on a Disneyland video, so for you Disneyland fans, you'll have that to see. Yeah, just thank you so much for joining me. What's Titanic plus Queen Mary? I don't know. I closed out the thing. I don't know what you were looking at, but yeah. Probably another video idea I had that I never actually did. I don't know. I have a lot of video ideas that I work on. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I will talk to you all later. Stay tuned for more videos and live streams. Again, I post every single week. So anyway,